Konnichiwa. Watashi no name Green Madyson desu. 18歳です。テネシー州から来ました。よろしくお願いします。So, as soon as we got to Eteam, one of the little workshops that we did at training week was learn a little bit of the language. And this name might be familiar to you, but his name was Heath Hubbard. He was the one who went to Japan and started the Hope Alive Church, but he obnoxiously taught us how to introduce ourselves in Japanese. So I never knew this guy. I saw his face on that little picture of his family going to Japan, and I never met him in person. So when he came in the room, literally this is what he did. He was like, Konnichiwa! And I was like, this is gonna be a fun hour. But, so most of y'all know what Eteam is. I've been participating in Eteam for the last 3 years. It's an amazing opportunity for high schoolers who are 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade to go around the world and share Jesus in many different varieties of missions fields. Like mine was Japan. I went to Chicago my first year, which is definitely different, Panama, and then now Tokyo. So this one, Tokyo, is more of a ministry type field. Some of them are more hands-on labor, but this one is definitely more ministry. These are the 4 churches that we ministered to while we were in Tokyo. So everyone knows Shannon Little. She's the one who helps Good News Chapel, and so does Debbie Griffin. So Debbie and Shannon work together to help Good News Chapel. Uriso Church is a little bit further outside of where we came into Tokyo, but they're still in Tokyo. Pastor Kojima is the one who runs that church with his wife, Miho. And then Hope Alive is led by Heath and Joni Hubbard and family. And then they have Jack and Ashley Ketterman, Daniel and Shelby Colwell, which they are from the church too, and then Emily Sakimoto. And the last one that we went to was the Kami Fukuoka Christ Church. They call it KCC for short. And that was Rusty and Brenda, and then also Kenneth and Judy Bailey. So we served at 4 different churches, all kind of intertwined throughout the 2 weeks that we were there. So one of the big things about Japan is that it's 99.7% unreached. And that is a big number. But for the amount of people that are in Japan, that 0.03% can fit in one building. This is a view from the Tokyo Tower. If you look out, all you can see is buildings. I took a picture of it because, wow, that's incredible. It's a huge city. And they said if you choose one building, just one, you can fit all the Christians that are in Japan in that one building. And that is one of the main reasons why they send people to Japan. And another reason is that their main religions are Buddhism and Shintoism. So the top picture, we went to downtown, that is a Buddhist temple. So they have all these extravagant, fancy, they call them castles too, but they're temples. And the one on the bottom is a Shinto temple. So the one on the top looks more crowded because it's downtown and it's in the open, it's where everybody can see it. And they have this little station where you cleanse your hands. It's like a water fountain. You cleanse your hands. You burn incense. They have that little, I don't know if you can see it. It's like a little bowl with a little roof over it. They take incense. After they cleanse their hands, they go to it, they burn it, and then they throw it in the bowl. And then once they're done with that, if they want to go pray, they can walk up the steps to where I took this picture. And they have this wall, and then behind that wall is the statue of Buddha. So you see people throwing money as offerings. You see people clapping their hands, trying to wake them up. Sometimes they scream and sometimes they yell to get their attention so that their statue, that their Buddha can pay attention to them and hear their prayers. And so we went to the Shinto temple the second time, the one on the bottom. After you go through the archway, one of the biggest differences was that there was a prayer, it wasn't a wall, it was a big round thing where they put their prayers on, they hang them on there. And this was one of the prayers that stuck out to me the most. And I looked at the date, and the day before that we visited this temple, the guy wrote this message. And it really, because all of the other ones were like, pray for like blessings on your family, pray for health, like success, stability, like most of the things that an average person would want for their family, But this one was hard to take in. I read it, and I read it again. And what stuck out to me the most and what was the worst about this is they're saying this to a statue. Like, he wrote this on this little wood panel, like pouring his whole heart and soul, like the most truthful thing, like the most raw thing that he could have written. He wrote that, praying for help, like seeking help, seeking someone to just reach out and grab him and save him. But it's a statue. Like, it's solid gold, solid bronze, like whatever they make, it's nothing, there's nothing behind it. So that one really hit me hard. But what we did to help that, and hopefully maybe he was one that we reached, we did a lot of things in a span of 10 days. So we did Kids English with Shannon. We also did it at the Ariso Church. We did game nights, which were fun. We'll get there in a minute. Hobby nights. We did Let's Speak English. We did hot dog parties, and hot dog parties, and hot dog parties, and hot dog parties. Galore. We had hot dogs like 4 days in a row, so woo. And prayer walking and tracking too. So one of the first things we did was the Kids English. So this was like one of the first interactions that the teenagers had with like smaller kids. So Shannon Little, she's the one who leads this class, and she told us to sit along the wall so we wouldn't scare the kids half to death when they walked into a room full of American kids, because they're like this tall. So we sat along the wall in chairs. They came, they put their names on name tags, they like put them on this little red table in the corner. We were sitting there watching them like go hug Shannon, like sit in her lap, like it's like the best thing they've ever seen. And it was so heartwarming because these kids, like, that's their one chance to be like in a church with Shannon, like learning English, and it was so amazing to see their reactions. And they watched videos about, months of the year, like weather, like emotions, like are you happy, are you sad, just to learn the basic English. And the best part was, do y'all know Pete the Cat? The books that were older, the cartoon books, the ones with the cat and the shoes. So the best part was when we actually got to read that story to them. So it was in English. Shannon was sitting on our left, and the teenagers got to cycle through reading like he stepped in water, so his shoes turned blue. He stepped in mud, his shoes turned brown. Like, it was fun. And then we got to sing the little riddle, and she would translate it into Japanese, and they would all laugh, and it was so sweet. This picture is of us playing bingo. So how many of you love bingo? Be like, bingo! So we got to play alphabet bingo with them so they can learn the alphabet, and it's not as hard because we only have one alphabet, not 3. So we were playing bingo, and the little girl that I got paired with was Mizuki. She is the sweetest thing ever. I swear, she's a kid genius. So she wears glasses, she has like her hair in a ponytail, like her eyes are so wide and it's so cute, and she did not need my help at all. Let me just say, she could do it on her own. She knew all the letters, she knew all the animals. She was like, elephant, elephant, elephant. I'm like, yeah, here's your token, put it on there. I was like, oh, this is so sweet. Okay, and then that night, we also did game night. So right after the Kids English, we got to do game night. So all of the people from their church, some of them young, some of them old, some in between, like got to come and just, have fun, loosen up, eat pizza, play games. So it was just kind of a subtle way to just get them to come to church, have fun, lighten up. And we got to play all kinds of games, like Uno Flip. We played Spot It, like matching pictures. We played Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, if y'all know what that is. We played Happy Salmon, which is like a little, Happy Salmon. It was a whole bunch of fun stuff. So the picture on the left is with our 2 leaders, Mike and Renee Pointer. They are playing with the kids, and they're playing a dice game. It's like the 1 through 6 so they can learn numbers. And they were playing the dice game, and they were so fast. I tried to play with them. I was sitting there trying to roll the dice, but they're so much quicker and so much like with the dice, so I was just sitting there like, I can try. But it was fun playing with them. And on the right, the right. So this group of teenage boys, so on the Sunday before that, no one, they just walked into the church. Shannon had never seen them before, didn't know they were coming. This group of teenagers just walked into the church, and I was like, heck yeah. So we got to, it was Father's Day too, so we got to have snacks with them, drinks with them. So we got to invite them to church through that. We talked with them a little bit, connected, and we got to invite them to game night. And lo and behold, they showed up to game night. And they brought chips, and now I'm addicted to the seaweed chips. So, yeah. So we got to play with them. They played Uno Flip, connected with them. On the left, the 2 girls, they're sisters. They never been to church before, and I was like, heck yeah, y'all came to the right place. So we got them in on the dice game too, and they were also fast, so it was hard to keep up with them too. But the one on the right is Mizuki. She looked can you see how happy she is? I timed her building one of these little things that you have to build vertically. So you've got to balance it to get it to stand. I timed her, and it took her less than 40 seconds to build one. She's a genius. So when she started doing it, the boys had to start doing it too. So the boys came in and joined her doing the Builds It game, trying to get it to do it, but it took them a little longer. It's okay. The picture on the right was them playing Spot It. So the CMP people were there too, they're students, and they were teaching them how to play Spot It with the pictures, you gotta match them and say what it is. Okay. We also did a game night at Ariso Church, no, Hope Alive Church. But I didn't get pictures from that one because I didn't have my camera. But we did one at Hope Alive. And the beauty of that one was we did a Let's Speak English that day. It's just we stand on the street with flyers, seeing if people can speak English. And if they want to, they can approach you, be like, yeah, I want to speak English. We can have a conversation. So 2 teenage boys came up to one of us that were there and started speaking English, making a conversation. It was broken English, but we got it across because one of the Japanese representatives were there. So we were having a conversation, invited them to game night, and lo and behold, they showed up too. So we got to have a good fun night with them. And we played the Tinsy game, and it took them a little longer to get a hold of it, but they did good. And the funniest part was teaching them how to play Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, because they did not understand us at all. So we were trying to teach them how to do the groundhog and the gorilla and the narwhal, but they were huh? So we were trying to play the game, and they didn't catch on. So when we would put our hands in the middle, they would be so I'm just you're supposed to put your hand in the middle. But it took them a few tries to get it, but it was fun. We got them in it. They kind of enjoyed it a little bit, I think, but yeah. This one, so the mothers at Good News Chapel, they got into the games too. They were sitting along the wall just watching, their kids, since the kids' English was before. They were just sitting there, and I was okay, they were chit-chatting, having a good time, but they weren't really playing. But Miss Debbie, she's the one on the bottom of the picture, she actually got them to play a game of Happy Salmon. And it was so fun watching them play because they were laughing. Their laughs were the loudest laughs in the room. I'm telling you, once they got into it, and they were having so much fun. I loved listening to them laugh. And this on the bottom picture, that's one of the CMP girls, and Myra's in the picture, but she's behind me. I didn't get her in the picture. They were playing Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza with this family. Okay. Here's one of our hot dog parties. Just one. This one was at KCC. So this is the one that Brenda and Rusty are leading and a part of. So we didn't really know many people here. There was a bunch of unfamiliar faces, but the carnival games for the kids, to get them involved, were really fun to watch them too. So we had arts and crafts is in that picture. We had the pick-a-pot, which is in the picture on the right. We had beanbag toss, ring toss. We had face painting with the little crayon sticks, not the paint because that's bad. And then we had hot dogs, snow cones. We had all kinds of stuff for them to get involved with, and even balloon animals. So I'm let's just say after a 2-hour class of a pro teaching you how to make balloon animals, it pays off. So I can make a lot of balloon animals, guys. Good. Let's just say that. That's the end of it. So this is Daniel with the arts and crafts. It took a little bit for it to get up and going, but after the kids got a little warmed up to the teenagers, not like, who are you and what are you doing here? They actually got involved, so they were doing a bunch of crafts. If you picked a lollipop that had a black end, you would get one of those little squishy dinosaur things with the beads in it, and they absolutely loved it. Oh yeah, there's the balloon animals. Yeah, that was me. This is our leader, Mike. He was serving one of the kids popcorn, and it was funny because he was so fascinated with the popcorn machine. He was looking at it while it was popping the popcorn out of the top, and I'm sure, I don't know what was going through his head, but he was looking at it like he's never seen anything like it before. It was like it was magic. He was just looking at it wow. It's a popcorn maker, but we've seen one, so we wouldn't think it's that magical. So we had ring toss. The little girl was getting in on the ring toss. She was going and knocking the bottles over, so we gave her a prize. Face painting, the pick-a-pop. Oh, I got that picture twice. But other than that, it was really fun. We also did a hot dog party for Good News Chapel, and we did that one in a park. So we had to pack all the stuff up, all the tables, the games and all that. We had to take it to a pavilion in a park, so it was more public, and people were walking across, so maybe they could see it and be like, oh, what's that? So it took us forever to get this balloon arch up, I'm telling you. It was windy, so we were trying to do this balloon arch to be oh yeah, that's a good idea, so it's more inviting. Not a good idea. It was windy, it was hard, and let me tell you, it took 5 people to get this one balloon arch up, and it took us 30 minutes. I'm people were already starting to come, and I'm we're not done yet. But we got it done, we made it work. It might have looked a little thin, but it was good. So this is the time that I did balloon animals for 2 hours straight, and it was absolutely ridiculous because my fingers were raw at that point. But I loved the one at Good News Chapel because all of the fathers came. We saw faces from Ariso Church, which is a little bit away from Good News Chapel, so they drove to get there. And we saw faces that were from Good News Chapel, familiar faces we got to reconnect with. I got to talk to a few ladies about why Eteam was there, how long are y'all here, what is it, because we had the matching shirts. So we got to talk to them about what it was, why we were there, and it was so sweet because they were actually listening. It's not they were in one ear out the other. They were they were listening to us, and we were listening to them, and it was fun watching their faces light up when I made a flower or a butterfly or a sword or a ball, because they would be whoa. It was so sweet. And even the fathers were there. One thing about Japan is that the fathers work all week, every day, all week, so you really don't see them with their families much. I mean, they might be there, but they're probably sleeping or doing something else, but it was fun to see them, the fathers were there, getting involved with their kids, helping them carry their bags and their prizes that they got from their circus toys. And it was so fun to see that there because they were involved with their kids. And we got to talk to some of their fathers too. And after we left, Shannon made a post on Facebook, and she said that one of the kids that we had invited to that hot dog party, she got to connect with, and they came to church that morning, or the next morning, and it was where's the American kids? Where are they at? Because we had left that Wednesday. And it was amazing to see that they had actually come back to church and gotten that invite. So that was our hot dog parties. So one of the main things we did at Hope Alive was the hobby night. So they have an upstairs portion and a downstairs portion because they got to expand a little bit ago. So their upstairs is where their worship is, with their music. So we had this whole music hobby night. So if you like music, you can come. And we had they had drums, they had pianos, they had keyboards, they had all kinds of guitars, bass. I'm not really sure what the other ones are, but they had a whole bunch. They had some drums, some bongos, they had a little maraca, shakers, and any kind of instrument they had. So if someone wants to come in and play something, then bam, you got it. So they also had microphones so people could sing. And we would sing songs like Praise and God is in the Story to songs like Sweet Caroline and I think it was Sucker by the Jonas Brothers. So we sung all kinds of songs. And yes, it was funny because one of the guys we invited really got into soccer. And I was like, you go, dude, because we were all cheering him on while he was getting into it. And he had this like accent, which made it so much better. It was hilarious. And downstairs was the cooking. So Emily Sakamoto, she's one of the staff at Hope Alive. She does a cooking class. And I don't know what exactly she was making, but it had to do with squid and pickled ginger, and they were like balls. So I was like, I'm gonna stay away from that. I don't really like squid. I tried it, but it had like the texture of the tentacles, and I was like, no. But a lot of the women had fun down there, because this picture on the right, you can see some of the ones that were sitting down, and the women in the front, they were downstairs with Emily doing the cooking class. And like, I wasn't really down there for much, but I'm sure it was amazing because they had smiles on their faces when they came upstairs. And we definitely saw some new faces at the music night, like the hobby night, like with people who could play drums, because this one guy brought his own drumsticks and he was whipping away on the drums. I was like, you go, dude, because I couldn't do that. But that was most of the things that we did for the 4 churches. But one of the big things that really hit me was the prayer walking. So, like, yes, you can pray like in your room or like at school or like with your eyes closed or with your eyes open. But what we did at Hope Alive and at Good News Chapel was that we prayer walked. And it like never really occurred to me like that you can just like walk down the street and like, you know, say a prayer for the person that you saw, or maybe for a business or for like a neighborhood that you pass by. So Daniel and Shelby Colwell were the ones that were leading my prayer walking little pod. There was 4 of us. So they had lived in that neighborhood right down the road from Hope Alive. And we walked to that neighborhood, and they showed us a whole bunch of they showed us a shrine that was in their neighborhood. And apparently a lot of like the parents like send their kids, and like there was one woman that was there like weeping, and like she hung up her prayer there, and there was a shrine in their neighborhood. One of the people that Daniel had been like communicating with and connecting with was the garden lady that was in their neighborhood. And now like there's no contact with her because they moved, like Daniel and Shelby moved, so they don't talk to her anymore, and she has not talked to them in a while. So I'm praying for the garden lady because she was interested. She was she was paying attention to what Shelby and Daniel were saying and like investing in Daniel and her, but now it's just like there's nothing there. They haven't seen her in forever. So a lot of things were opened up to me when we were doing that prayer walk, and I've committed to pray for the garden lady. And we also did tracting at Ariso Church. We walked around the neighborhood, and it gave me flashbacks to Chicago when we were walking with Dave Poteet and we were doing flyers. Yeah, it gave me flashbacks. But Pastor Kojima can walk circles around all of us. Let me just tell you that. He's been doing it for forever. Yeah, I was like, he was here, and then he was over there. And I'm just like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? And he was all the way down the street. I'm like, oh, we gotta go. And because we were looking at the sites too, we were looking at the houses, and he was like all the way over there on that street. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And we did that we were gonna do that for Good News Chapel, but then it started raining, so we didn't get to do that. But that is basically all, wrapping it up. The last thing that I wanna say is, during training week, one of my leader, Mike Pointer, he was like, why are you here? I didn't know if it was a rhetorical question or if we should answer it literally, but he answered it for us a few times because he gave us a few things to be looking out for. Like, we're here for fellowship, we're here for service, especially in a country that is over 99% unreached. And we're here for multiple reasons, but my reason was that I was there for the people. I was there because at the beginning, I was like, okay, I don't know the language. I'm really not going to be helpful because all I could do is probably just work behind the scenes. But that was not the case. After I saw all of the missionaries' hearts for the people, like they gave their stories, their backgrounds, like the day that we were at Hope Alive, the first day, they gave like why and how they got there. Like realizing their hearts, and even Shannon's heart for those kids. It was like, wow, they really love these people. That's why they're there. That's why they want to go back. That's why they want to keep going back. That's why she doesn't want to leave. Like, that's her home now. It's because she really loves these people. And I understand why now. They are the most respectful and the most clean and the most kind people that you'll ever meet. But that doesn't mean they're saved. And that was really apparent to me when we were doing the prayer walking and even meeting the people that were like, they were sweet, they talked to us, but I mean, that's the only time that I'll ever see them. That's the only time they ever talk to me. And I'm hoping that these missionaries there can have the strength to keep changing that. Because even Shannon and even some of those missionaries there were like, it's hard. It's hard for them to keep doing that. Even being there for a week and a half, I was kind of like exhausted from going from English to Japanese to hearing Japanese 24/7 and trying my best to get out of my comfort zone the entire time. And they have to do that their whole lives. Like, they have to do that every day, not just for a week and a half. And it gets taxing for them, but I was there for the people, because now I have a heart for Japan too, and it's going to be in my heart for a while now because I can't stop thinking about it. I actually haven't been able to stop thinking about it for the past month that I've been back. And I understand why now that they're missionaries there. And I hope that y'all will keep praying for them as I do, because they need our support in many ways than just one. And even though we can't all be over there, we can encourage them to be there themselves.